Okay. Okay, it is now 5:30 on January the 21st, which is the advertised time and day for this meeting of the Zoning Board of Adjustment to commence. So I would now call the meeting to order. I would first of all like to introduce the board members. There's myself, Dave Wing. I'm the chairman of the meeting tonight. Tyler Schaefer, Todd Collins, Sylvia Cunningham, Lauren Burmeister. Lori, will anybody else be attending or just the five of us?
Mr. Chairman, this is Garrett Craig. I am also here. My camera capability is just not working tonight.
Okay, so you're the phone number. All right. Thank you, Garrett. I would now like to introduce the planning staff. The planning staff is Lori Casey. You can see her on the screen. She's the planning director. Also present is Dylan Pipinich, the assistant planning director. And Carol Laird is in the planning office, and she's the secretary who will be recording the minutes of the last meeting, recording the minutes of this meeting. With regard to the minutes of the last meeting, has everybody had an opportunity to review those minutes?
I've had a chance, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to make a motion that we approve the December 3rd, 2020 meeting minutes.
Okay. Does anybody have a second to that motion?
This is Garrett Craig. I would second that motion.
Okay, everybody in favor of approving the minutes of the last meeting indicate by saying aye, or since we're on screen, raise your hands. The minutes have been approved unanimously, and we can now proceed with the agenda for this meeting. The first matter on the agenda is use variance application number 21 quadruple 01, application by JD and JD LLC owners and Tricia Handy agent. Is the representatives of the applicants present? Are the applicants present? They should be on the screen. It should have been got a link and zoomed in.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I don't see the applicants on. Maybe we could move to the second item on the agenda and we will call them to make sure that they can get on.
Okay, that's a good idea. So proceed to the second matter on the agenda, application by Mike McLeod and the Sisters of Charity of Leavenworth. And I see Mike McLeod is present.
Yes.
Okay. Do we have a presentation with regard to this from the staff?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I'll share my screen here in a second. Sorry, Mr. Chairman, we're trying to find a number for the applicant for the first one. Can everybody see my screen?
Yes, I can. Speaking for myself.
I can see it as well, Dylan.
Let me skip ahead to the... So this is special use permit 21-1. You'll notice the new numbering system. It's because we're going to electronic permitting system. So it's a little bit different. So this is an application from the Sisters of Charity of Leavenworth. It's a special use permit to locate a professional business office, real estate business in an existing building in a residential zone per the requirements of section 1738-250. The proposal is the applicants are proposing to remodel an existing commercial building to accommodate office space for a real estate business. Here's an aerial photograph. So the property is located at 820 West Platinum Street. It's an empty office building. So staff findings. Professional business offices are recognized as the special uses allowed in any residential zone, provided that the prescribed use is in harmony with the other uses permitted in the zone and not found to be contrary to the public interest. This process provides for review of public input, a measure of potential impact of the proposed use of the surrounding area, and the compatibility of the proposed use with the adjoining neighborhood. The applicants responded to the 20-question review, and so did staff. So here's the zoning districts. 820 West Platinum is in the R2 zone, is across the street from a C1 local commercial zone. Going through the 20-question criteria. I'm not going to hit all of them in the presentation. I'm going to hit the important ones. All of the answers are in your staff report. I'm going to kind of combine some of them because the questions are very similar, but location and character of the property and surrounding buildings. It's an existing commercial building and associated parking lot on site with some maintained landscaping as seen here. Looking to the east, the Mountain Vista Medical Clinic is directly east. The character of this block is mainly commercial in nature, with residences starting one block to the west. Question number 4, I believe, proposed fencing, screening, and landscaping. While currently in disrepair, there is existing landscaping and subject parcel. Applicant has indicated they intend to update the landscaping. Staff does not believe that any additional screening would be required to mitigate any potential negative impacts. Proposed vehicle access, circulation, and parking. There's an existing parking lot located on the north side of the parcel with access to Platinum Street. There's already a curb cut there. However, the parking lot spaces are not delineated. To decrease traffic flow hazards, staff would recommend the applicants install parking lot striping to meet the zoning code. It would be 12 spaces with one of them being handicap. That's based on the size of the building. Proposed signs and lighting. There's an existing monument sign located on Platinum Street. Just as a note, any signs were reviewed and approval by planning staff. Even if you're replacing the existing sign face, you do need a sign permit. Potential nuisances. Question number 9, if you're following along in your staff report. One potential nuisance associated with commercial uses in residential zones is an increase in traffic on adjacent streets. Obviously, this building has been historically used for office space. The surrounding area is also used for office space. Given the character of the neighborhood, the increased traffic just from this real estate office isn't going to affect Platinum Street. It's the use of the building before probably created more traffic. That the use conforms to the objectives adopted in the comprehensive plan. Also, the notice growth policy. We just adopted a new comprehensive plan. The zoning ordinance permits certain commercial uses to be located in all residential zones. So the zoning ordinance is the governing document. It's the regulations. Special use permit application to ensure these types of businesses don't negatively impact adjacent residences. That's what we're doing here right now. As far as the comprehensive plan, the place type designation is economic driver. This is mostly because of the area around the hospital and medical clinics and stuff in that area. Economic drivers are intended to support large-scale employment opportunities. Commercial activities such as these are typical of the areas, so this development is conforming with the future land use designation. The next criteria, that the use of class or classification will not adversely affect nearby properties or their occupants. So we've talked about the character of the neighborhood and the adjacent properties. Anytime commercial business encroaches into a residential neighborhood, there's a potential for the use to negatively impact the surrounding residential properties. In this case, the nearest residential properties are a block to the west. This area has always been utilized for commercial purposes, and what's around it is used for similar purposes. So this proposal should not really affect the residences. Skipping ahead a little bit through the report, the conformity of the proposed use with the neighborhood plan. There is a neighborhood plan for this area. The Central Butte area plan is in this area. And one of their important goals of the neighborhood plan is to reduce blight and decay of buildings. Sorry, could we make sure that everybody's microphones are on mute? Thank you. The goal is to reduce blight and the decay of buildings and properties. This is a vacant building currently. Remodeling and using that space definitely reduces blight and is an important goal of the neighborhood plan and all of the community. So in conclusion, based on the 20 criteria in the staff report, and as I've outlined, staff finds that special use 21-1 is an appropriate use for the area. Therefore, staff recommends that the zoning board approve special use 21-1, provided that the following conditions are met. Number one, the remodeling of the existing structure to accommodate the proposed business will be required to meet all applicable building code requirements as required by Butte-Silver Building Code Department. All necessary permits and approvals must be granted prior to the applicant receiving a business license. Number two, prior to issuance of a building permit, the applicant shall present the parking plan for review and approval. At minimum, the parking plan shall meet the requirements of Chapter 1740-900 off-street parking, table of minimum standards, including ADA requirements, and shall delineate 12 parking spaces with one being ADA accessible. The applicant shall submit a cost estimate from a licensed contractor for the striping of the approved parking plan. This cost estimate will be used as the paving bond amount plus 10%. Bond may be in the form of cash, letter of credit, surety bond, or other negotiable instrument. Number three, prior to receiving a sign permit, the applicant shall submit to the planning office for review and approval a detailed sign plan and drawings. At minimum, no signs shall be located. Apologize, that is incorrect. It's copied wrong. A minimum no signs shall be located in the south, east, and west elevations of the structure. That is correct. All other signs shall meet the requirements of 1742 signs of the BSBMC. Number four, in order to reduce potential negative impact of on-site lighting on adjacent residences, all lighting shall be designed as low glare, be residential in character, and directed away from adjacent residences. Number five, any future business expansions are not accessory to the approved business will require further review and approval by the Zoning Board of Adjustment. And finally, number six, the applicant shall maintain the landscaping new or existing in accordance with 1738-52 landscaping requirements, maintenance of the BSBMC, including replacing any removed or dead trees. With that, I conclude the presentation and welcome any questions from the board.
Do any board members have any questions of the staff? I'm not hearing any questions, so I'll ask the applicant if he wishes to provide further information to the board in support of his application. You now have that opportunity. Mike, you're on mute. Unmute yourself.
Okay, there I go. Dave, I'm Mike McLeod, the agent for the Sisters of Charity, and Tracy Miller of the Butte Real Estate Group is the going to be the developer and the owner of the property. So I think if I defer to her for any specific questions you all might have. but I don't have any questions of you.
Okay. Tracy, would you like to add anything to the staff presentation?
Hi, guys. I don't think we have anything to add. He did a great presentation. It was very representative of what we're going to be doing, but I just promised you guys a beautiful building that's going to make the whole entire neighborhood just better in all aspects.
That sounds great. It really does. Any board members have any questions of Tracy? Not hearing any, we will now proceed to the public comment portion of this WebEx virtual meeting. The telephone line that is open so that anybody can comment with regard to this matter is 497-5009. And with regard to comments, I will first ask anybody that's in support of this application, please phone and indicate your support for it. So we'll wait a minute or two and see if anybody phones in.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes,
Commissioner Mankins is on. It would be his time during the public comment. If he's got some comment, I did see his hand up. Not sure on a proponent or opponent basis, but his hand was up.
Commissioner Mankins, do you wish to speak in support of this application?
Yes, Chairman Wing, I would like to speak in support of this, and thank you, Planning Director Casey, for recognizing me, and also thank you, members of the Zoning Board. First off, I'd like to thank Tracy Miller and the Butte Real Estate Group for finding a vacant building uptown and trying to bring it back to life, so to speak. And I want to thank Mike McLeod for helping and assisting with the Sisters of Charity also with that process and continuing to make Butte a better place. So thanks again, and thanks for your time.
Thank you, Eric.
Thank you, Commissioner. Are we here? There is nobody else that is phoning in with regard to comments. So now the phone line will be open for anybody that might be opposed to this application. And we will wait a minute or two to see if we get any calls in that regard. We are getting no calls with regard to public comment in opposition. So I will now close the public portion of this meeting and open it for board discussion. It seems like a great project to me.
Mr. Chairman, this is Tyler. I think this is just a slam dunk project for this area. That building, I drive by it almost every day. It has been empty and not in use, and frankly, not even really kept up for years, it seems like now. I think Miss Miller, I have the utmost confidence that she will take this and turn it into something much nicer, as I think a lot of us have witnessed with a lot of her other projects. She seems to have quite the growing business on her hands, which we congratulate her for, and we can, benefits all of us here in Butte. So with that being said, and barring any other board comments, I would be willing to make a motion for approval on special use permit 21-000001.
Okay. Thank you, Tyler. Before I ask for a second to that motion, I want to make sure that no other board members have any comments with regard to this matter. Are there any further comments? No. Not hearing any, then I will now ask if somebody would second Tyler's motion.
I'll second, Mr. Chairman.
It's been moved and seconded, and we can now vote. I would ask, since we're a virtual meeting, I would ask everybody in favor of the motion to indicate by raising their hand. And please remember, you also have ballots that you'll have to fill out and get to the planning staff somehow via email or fax. for stopping up or having the planning staff come and get them. So everybody in favor of the motion indicate by raising their hand. All 5 members present have voted in favor of the motion, and it is thereby approved 5-0. And the applicant, Ms. Miller, you will be receiving a letter from the planning staff to that effect. And thank you for your presentation tonight, and hope all goes well with what looks to be a great project. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
I think we have a correction on the vote because we have to remember Garrett Craig. We don't have a video of him.
Oh, gosh,
So
I
we
forgot
should
about
have,
Garrett. I'm
we
sorry,
have 6
Garrett.
votes.
Garrett, are you in favor of this motion?
I am also in favor of the motion,
Okay.
Mr. Chairman.
I apologize. I only looked at the people that were on my screen, and I do apologize. So the vote is now 6-0 in favor of the motion. And as I indicated before, we do have the paper ballots that we have to fill out. Okay, thank you. Are we in position to proceed to the next matter?
Mr. Chairman, we are. The authorized agent is on, so, or they were on. Let me.
I think I see him there. Would be the gentleman and lady there? Okay.
Yes, okay.
All right, thank you. And this is variance application 21-1. And we have a presentation with regard to this matter.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
What happened? How come I can't see them? We don't have a presentation. I didn't know that we were supposed to.
Well,
Tricia,
there'll be a presentation from the planning staff with regard to this matter. You can say
Oh.
something further if you want, but it was not incumbent upon you to have a presentation.
Oh, okay.
Sorry, Mr. Chairman, I was trying to unmute. I do have a present. See my.
Dylan, you're fading in and out.
Am I better now?
Yes.
Okay, so this is variance 21-1. I would like to apologize for the naming convention that just 5 zeros in the 1. I hope we don't get 100,000 applications in a year. But anyway, so variance 21-1. Applicant is JD&JD LLC owner and Tricia Handy, who's online. The item is an application to locate a drive-through restaurant and coffee shop in an existing building, varying from section 172820 permitted uses of the Butte-Silver Municipal Code. The proposal, board members may remember this location. It's the Cenex located at the I-90 on-ramp. We just heard from the owners last year that we're trying to locate a casino there. That didn't go through, so the agent is proposing to locate a drive-through restaurant and coffee shop in the existing structure. As I stated, they applied in July of 2019 to locate a casino and bar. The Zoning Board of Adjustment did approve the application, but the project was never completed. So they're the new person with a new proposal. Aerial photograph, this is the area. This is the old gas station, like I said, on Montana Street and the I-90 on-ramp. The substation is across the street, Northwestern Energy to the north, and it's right on the interstate. Staff findings, the subject parcel is located in the M1 light industrial zone. The municipal code for the M1 zone doesn't allow the permitted uses does not list a restaurant as a permitted use in the M1 zone. So this is a request for a use variance to vary from that. Use variances have 2 criteria under the main criteria of hardship. This is just as a reminder. The criteria are the land in question cannot secure a reasonable return if the land is only restricted to those permitted outright in the zone. I'm sorry, Tricia, could you mute your microphone? I think we're getting a little bit of feedback.
Oh, yeah, hold on.
Thank you. Criteria number 2 is the applicants must prove that the proposed use will not alter the essential character of the neighborhood. So these are the additional criteria under the second criteria of hardship. This is just showing the zoning districts. It's commercial across the street, light industrial where the gas station was, the interstate is to the south, and there's residential uses to the south. I'd also like to point out directly to the west, there's a few residences along Oxford Street. They are non-conforming uses. They are houses that are in the industrial zone. That is important to note. So staff reviewed the 3-point criteria from the Montana Supreme Court for the granting of variances. Number 1, a variance must not be contrary to the public interest. The public's interest in segregating land uses is to prevent conflicts between those incompatible land uses. All of the land to the northwest and east is zoned commercial or light industrial. The land uses adjacent to the site in question are a mixture of uses with the interstate to the south, transformer station to the east, Northwestern Energy facilities to the north, and those residences to the west that I would also like to note again are in the industrial zone. The proposal states that the restaurant will be used for a drive-through only. The previous use of a gas station was a pretty intensive commercial use. Restaurants with drive-throughs can be intensive commercial uses, but I should also like to note that there are a lot of permitted uses outright in the M1 zone that would generate similar or more traffic and noise. The uses in light industrial zones are also very intensive. Drive-through restaurants and coffee shops tend to be open in the early morning hours and have the potential to increase impacts on those residences that are to the west in the morning with the increase of traffic, headlights, and noise. I'll show you on the site plan coming up, but the agent has proposed to construct an 8-foot fence to reduce this impact on those residences on the west side. So here's their submitted site plan, Oxford Street here on the right, Montana Street in front. They're planning a double drive-through window on each side of the building, and have come up with this traffic flow pattern through the site. The only entrances being on Oxford Street, with exits being on Oxford Street and on the I-90 on-ramp. So you could kind of look at the traffic flow pattern. They're proposing an 8-foot full length on the west side of the property. We'll get into this later, but staff would also like to note to not have vision clearance hazards, that fence will need to be lowered for a distance back of 10 feet on both the north and the south sides of that fence, lowered to no taller than 3 feet, just so traffic can see. They're proposing a 3-foot tall fence along the south and east property lines. That does not meet any vision clearance issues. So continuing a variance must not be contrary to the public interest because of the uses allowed in the M1 zone and the type of use allowed here. That staff does not believe that segregation of land uses is appropriate or is required, and this is not contrary to the public interest. Criteria number 2 is a literal hardship. Enforcement of the zoning ordinance must result in unnecessary hardship owing to the conditions unique to the property. So just to define unnecessary hardship, must result from a condition unique to the property, such as a unique property shape, feature, or geological trait. The hardship must not result in a condition created by the applicants. In short, for the main definition, this property does not exhibit a hardship. You could locate a light industrial use in that building that is permitted outright in the zone. There's nothing about the property itself that would prohibit that. Looking at those sub-criteria that I spoke to earlier, like I said, the building could conceivably be converted for light industrial use, although the location to the interstate probably makes it more appropriate for commercial use because all the infrastructure for the gas station has been removed, like the tanks and stuff has been removed from this property. The likelihood that it's going to ever be another service station is greatly reduced. Sub-criteria number 2, the majority of uses in the area other than the 2 residences on Oxford Street are conforming uses in industrial zone are commercial or light industrial in nature. So the drive-through restaurant really shouldn't alter the character of the neighborhood. The last criteria is that the spirit of the zoning ordinance must be observed and substantial justice done. This is where public health and safety and general welfare are looked at. They must be protected and weighed against the rights of the applicant to develop the property. As I previously said, the agent proposed to install that 8-foot fence along the western edge of the property boundary and the 3-foot fence. Again, it should be noted that those have to be lowered. As we were talking about that site plan, they're proposing 2 drive-through windows, one on the north and one on the south. They can be accessed from Oxford Street with 2 exits on Oxford Street and the I-90 on-ramp. The lack of designated approaches on Oxford Street can create traffic flow pattern issues and potential safety concerns. Just as we did with the casino, staff suggests that the agent install sidewalk, curb, and gutter along Oxford Street, as well as designated approaches so that they can really delineate that traffic flow that they were proposing and eliminate the safety hazards of being able to enter and exit Oxford Street at any point along the property. Here's a picture kind of showing that. This is the north side of the property. As you can see, there's no sidewalk, curb, and gutter along that whole north side. The entrance of their drive-through is approximately just this side of that garbage can you can see in the picture, and delineating that traffic flow pattern with that sidewalk, curb, and gutter, and really segregating the pedestrian traffic from the vehicle traffic would greatly improve the safety of this site. Here's another view. This is the front of the building. This is where the drive-through lanes would circle around with drive-throughs being on the left and the right of this building. Another shot of all the lay-down curb on Oxford Street. So you can really see how traffic can really get in and out of this property right now at any place. And that's a safety hazard. So continuing, it's important to note that the approaches on the I-90 on-ramp, as well as the existing approaches on Montana Street, are under the jurisdiction of MDT. Changes to these approaches or the addition of approach in these locations requires approval from MDT. So if they're doing anything in that right of way, they're going to have to talk with the Montana Department of Transportation for approval. In regards to parking, they've stated that there will be no on-site seating in the restaurant. So their plan is to have only drive-through, and I believe they're going to use this site as the kitchen to cook the food for other remote locations in the future, is what they've stated. So the zoning ordinance, as far as parking requirements for this type of use, it's really kind of split into since this is a unique business plan, it's kind of split into 2 separate ways of looking at it. There's a way to calculate parking based on square footage or number of employees. And there's also a requirement for car stacking on those drive-throughs. Since they're coming in and off of Oxford Street, the stacking requirement is 3 cars. It definitely meets that. And the applicant has stated that they're going to have 3 to 4 employees. So the ordinance requires 1 parking spot per employees. So planning staff would recommend 4 parking spaces to accommodate those employees that are delineated. So here's some more pictures of the site. Entrance, there is an approach onto the on-ramp on that side. And this is the condition of the parking lot. Continuing with criteria number 3, the agents, they're not proposing to expand the size of the building, but so they're not required by the zoning ordinance to install additional landscaping. However, the board does have the authority to require additional landscaping. They believe it's appropriate to mitigate some hazards. In this instance, staff believes that new landscaping would be appropriate. It would make the property more presentable and would help buffer those non-conforming residences to the west. Just to give you an idea of what the zoning ordinance would require if this was a new site development. It would require a total of 998 square feet of landscaping, with 598 square feet of those being live landscaping and 1 tree per 5 parking spaces. So that would be 1 tree. And there is some landscaping on site, but it is not maintained and is in pretty bad shape. The landscaping also requires the installation of sidewalk, curb, and gutter along Oxford Street. Continuing with criteria 3, in the provided site plan, the agents have designated a screened area adjacent to Montana Street for the garbage. The zoning ordinance requires that the garbage is screened, and this meets that, and it does not specify a location. Staff just believes that garbage receptacles are unsightly and should be located in the rear of the building back there. If they have some room, that they should move that to the back. So in conclusion, the application fully meets 2 of the 3 criteria for use variance. It does not meet that hardship, but it does meet the sub-criteria for hardship. So therefore, staff recommends approval of variance 21-1 with the following conditions. The applicant shall ensure the construction and remodel of all facilities on the parcel are completed in compliance with all applicable building, mechanical, and fire codes. The applicant shall secure all necessary permits from Butte-Silver and shall abide by all of the regulations of the zoning ordinance. All plumbing and electrical work must be completed by a licensed plumber and electrician. Prior to the issuance of a building permit, the applicant shall submit a detailed landscaping plan to the planning staff for review and approval. Landscaping plan shall comply with landscaping provisions in Chapter 1738, special provisions of the Butte-Silver Municipal Code. The garbage receptacle shall also be located on the west side of the building and shall be screened, and no landscaping or fences shall be located in the vision clearance triangle as described in Section 1736-41 of the Butte-Silver Municipal Code. The applicant shall submit a cost estimate from a licensed landscape contractor for the materials and installation of the approved plan. This cost estimate will be used as landscaping bond plus 10%. Prior to receiving a building permit, the applicant shall submit the appropriate landscaping bond to the planning department. This bond can be in the form of cash, letter of credit, surety bond, certified check, or other guaranteed negotiable instrument. Condition number 3, prior to receiving any sign permits, the applicant shall submit to the planning office for review and approval a detailed sign plan and drawings. Sign plan shall follow the requirements of Chapter 1742 signs of the BSBMC. Number 4, prior to issuance of business license, the applicant shall be required to meet all building code, ADA standards, and health code requirements where applicable. Number 5, prior to the issuance of building permit, the applicant shall pave the non-paved areas of the parking lot and stripe a minimum of 4 parking spaces, or provide a bond for the paving and striping of the 4 parking spaces and the drive-through lanes. The bond amount shall be based on a licensed contractor's estimate to complete the installation of the parking lot. This cost estimate will be used as the paving bond plus 10%. The bond may be in the form of cash, letter of credit, surety bond, or other guaranteed negotiable instrument. Number 6, prior to the issuance of a building permit, the applicant shall install a new sidewalk and curb and gutter along Oxford property line as per the requirements of 1738-50, or bond for the installation of the sidewalks. Sidewalks shall conform to the Butte-Silver Public Works standard drawings for sidewalk installation, and the applicant shall coordinate with the Butte-Silver Public Works and Montana Department of Transportation for the location of the sidewalk and the connection of the sidewalk located in the Montana Street right-of-way. The bond amount shall be based on a licensed contractor's estimate to complete the work with the installation plus 10%. The bond may be in the form of cash, letter of credit, surety bond, or other guaranteed negotiable instrument. Number 7, prior to receiving a building permit, the applicant shall submit an engineering plan and analysis to address on-site stormwater drainage in compliance with all sections of Chapter 1332 Stormwater Management, the Butte-Silver Municipal Code, including the Butte-Silver Municipal Stormwater Engineering Standards, and receive a stormwater management permit or receive a variance from the Butte-Silver Public Works Department. Number 8, prior to receiving a building permit, the applicant shall also receive approval from Montana Department of Transportation for any changes or additions to the approaches on the Montana Street and Desmet Street. That's the I-90 on-ramp. So with that, I believe that's all the conditions, and I would conclude my report. I would welcome any questions from the board.
Do any board members have any questions of the staff?
Mr. Chairman, this is Tyler. Dylan, just a quick question. have you received any sort of pushback or comment from any of the neighbors? I know that was when anyone who's been on this board for a few years and remembers that every time something pops up, we usually do get some concerned neighbors. Just wondering if any of that has popped up yet, or.
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Schaefer, we have not heard from any of the neighbors. We have not heard from any proponents or opponents to this application.
Okay, thank you, Dylan.
Any other board members have any questions of the staff? Okay, hearing none, I will now give the applicant a chance to.
Oh, sorry, Mr. Chairman, I do have a question.
Okay, from.
Apologies, this is Lauren. Mr. Pipinich, so on the curb and gutter that you're asking for along Oxford Street, is that primarily just for traffic flow, or is that for stormwater purposes as well?
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Burmeister, it's for all of the above. It's for traffic flow, it's for pedestrian flow, and stormwater. It's to basically meet the ordinance for new construction on there and provide that same safety that would happen otherwise.
Okay, thank you.
Any other board members have any questions of the staff? So I will now give the applicant an opportunity to speak in support of the application. And in doing so, I would first like to ask if you have any problems with any of the recommendations, conditions that were made by the staff.
Hi there.
Hi.
Go ahead.
No, everything looks good. We have no problems with meeting those requirements. And I think even though the sidewalk, curb and gutter is going to cost a little more, I think it's going to make the curb appeal look way better.
Okay. All right, well, thank you. Do any of the board members have any questions of the applicant? Okay. Not hearing any, I will now take public comment. Once again, this is being live streamed, and the number that can be called is 497-5009. And I would first like to have any public comments in support of the application.
Need it.
Did you have anything you wanted to say, Mr. Menkins? Okay.
Thank you, Chairman Wing and members of the zoning board, and Dylan and Lori, and especially Dylan for their presentation, but I know Lori has done a lot with this as well. I would like to be in support of this. I think it's just another Blythe property that Butte has had, and we're bringing it back to life. So I'd like to thank Jason and Tricia, Andy for investing in Butte and trying to make a better place and a better location. And also wanted to thank Tyler Schaefer for asking the question that there wasn't any residents. I haven't heard anything back either with that as well. So thank you again, and thank you for investing in Butte.
Thank you, Commissioner. I don't believe we're hearing anybody phoning in. So I will now open it for any opponents, possible opponents to this application, to phone in and voice their objections, if any. So no opponents are phoning in, and I will now close the public portion of the meeting and open it for board discussion.
Mr. Chairman, this is Tyler. I would like to just go on record in complete support of this. That property, echoing my comments from our last case too, just has been nothing but a blight, like Mr. Mankins had said. Anything we can get to upgrade that and make that nice is going to be an improvement, and it's going to be a good thing for the city. I got to commend Jason and Trisha for the curb and gutter. We always fight these battles because it is very expensive. Sometimes it doesn't make a ton of sense to the applicants, but in the overall scheme of things, we need that kind of stuff, and we need to have more of it. And I just want to thank them for being willing to do that and taking this building and turning it into something very nice. I know if I keep staring at this menu anymore, I'm going to be drooling, so I better stop. But thank you guys. And with that being said, I would be ready to make a motion, but I'd like to give everyone else a chance to comment as well.
Any further comments?
Mr. Chairman, I want to say that I'm really proud of these people for taking the next step for this. I know that the other one, they kind of struck out on it, but you have to just get up there and keep swinging. My daughter is going to be disappointed. She wanted me to buy that property, and she wanted to I make a special chicken dish that she wanted to sell out of there. But I told her that you can't do it with one dish, and I don't have what it takes to run it. So you can go ahead. Thank you.
Thank you, Todd. Any further comments? Okay. Not hearing any. We are now open for a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I'll go ahead and make a motion that we approve variance -21-1.
Okay. Thank you, Tyler.
I'll second that motion, Mr. Chairman.
It's been moved by Tyler and seconded by Todd Collins to approve the motion. And Garrett, I ask what your position on the motion is first.
Mr. Chairman, I am for the motion.
Okay. And everybody else, if they could indicate by raising their hands. And it appears that we have 6 votes in favor of the motion and none against. So it is approved unanimously. And once again, there is a paper ballot that you need to fill out and somehow get to the planning staff as before. So I'll mark my paper ballot right now. And we have some applause. Thank you. And that concludes the agenda unless we have further business.
Mr. Chairman, you do have other business on there. It is time for the election of officers once again.
Thank you, guys.
You betcha. Thank you. And
Good luck, guys.
best of luck to you. It's a wonderful project. Thank you very much.
We appreciate it.
We do.
Thank you, Dylan. Can we ask?
You can hang around and watch us if you want to. So we have to elect officers. Any thoughts?
I nominate Chairman Wing to keep being chairman and anything else he wants to be too.
I'll second that before he can object to it.
And I think it's Lauren's turn to be vice chairman.
That's a hard pass.
Tyler, you've done a wonderful job as vice chair.
I would have no problem continuing in that role as long as you don't miss any meetings.
Okay. Okay. Who votes for Chairman Wing to continue as chairman?
I will.
Okay.
You do a great job, sir.
Thank you very much, Todd. Who votes for Vice Chairman Schaefer to continue being vice chair? You got it once again, Tyler.
I was nervous for that.
Okay. Thank you very much. Anything?
Thank you, guys.
No, Mr. Chairman, I think that's it for tonight.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Dylan.
Thank you all.
Have a good night. Thanks for all your hard work, guys.
Thank you.
See y'all.
And